So here's the reading. Buddhist practice points to no self and non-doing. Though what this means cannot be spoken, it can be lived. Everybody knows this, feels this when it's happening. No self is involved when doing for the benefit of others. No self-interest, no credit claimed, no reward or thanks wanted, no separate self really doing anything. It can be seen that nothing is done without everyone and everything being just this way. You know, just sitting, wanting to relax, resting, taking a break, doing your thing, and someone asks for help. And letting go of you and wants and things. There is this listening, and before you know it, it was asked for, has been given, and benefits are flowing. That's a taste of no self, non-doing. With no self not doing, everything gets done. All right. Let's see. So last month, can everybody hear me okay? We've got some lingering problems with our PA system, but yeah, last month we took a long look at resistance. Again, it seemed that our nation truly conspired to make our theme more poignant. But here's the thing, when you really start to consider what a community like Murray might be resisting, right? It begins to make us solidify our boundaries. Our walls become a little higher. Well, it's important. It's important to know who we are and how we're different. As our good friend Len Yutkins back there likes to satirically suggest, I think, there are many reasons not to be a UU. Of course, when you really look at Murray, another truth emerges, right? Guess what? We don't all exactly think alike. We find out that some of us are well, human. And some of us might be under more pressure or less pressure. Sometimes when we get together in meetings, like maybe the mid-year meeting, we're a little anxious together. When we look at our mission and all the things that we are trying to do together, we find out that it's actually just as important what's happening outside of our walls as happening inside of our walls. We're very vulnerable to what's going on out there. A bigger truth just starts to bubble up. We're all in this together. Not just we here at Murray, but this whole region, this whole country, this whole world. And if that's the case, how can we interact more effectively? I read this article in the Atlantic this week. Maybe you read it too. It's called "There's a Word for What is Happening in Minneapolis." It was about how the protests in that city that have been going on are a little bit different than the No Kings rallies, as important as they are. You know, No Kings rallies are great because it's kind of like you get your like minds together. But if you're not part of the like minds, it doesn't really matter. Minneapolis is a little different, though, because in Minneapolis, people from all walks of life and different political opinions are starting to come together. It's just a simple reality of people standing up and saying, this is not how we treat one another. It's an effective dissidence. It is neighborism. It is humanism. It's the kind of feeling that sparked the Underground Railroad. It's the kind of feeling that sparked the hiding of Jews when they were being persecuted in Europe. This is what I'm driving at when we talk about being resilient together. A sort of stand for pure human dignity, no matter what. A standing together that goes beyond politics, even belief. And one of our new covenanted values, freshly minted by the UUA, is this idea of interdependence. It's one of our values, our jet pig values. Right? Interdependence. Interdependence as a value is important because we as a society, going back to the Enlightenment, have really been focused on the individual. And there's a reason for that. We were emerging from feudal Europe. Right? Individual became important. The individual is a part of the framework of the Constitution. And modernity focused on the individual even more. But if you emphasize the individual too much, it can become an acid that destroys the very soil, atmosphere, air, and ocean from which our own lives emerge. And I'm not just talking about our literal environment, although, yes, too much emphasis on individualism will destroy that. But I'm talking about metaphorically. While we may be individuals, each of us needs loving hands to unconditionally hold our own. Each of us needs basic support and nutrients. Each of us depends on intricate and fragile networks of relationships and support that goes into everything from the roads we drive on to the electricity we use, the libraries we visit, the Social Security paychecks we will depend on, the hospitals that we need to visit when we are sick. Even the most rustic hunter-gatherer society took care of each other. In some ways, community is far more important than the individual. Without the web of interdependence, life would be pretty much impossible for we fragile, defenseless mammals. But being resilient together goes deeper still, even to the Zen level. Over the week, as I contemplated how we are resilient together, this writing from my sensei, Tom Tanguay, Diamond Sangha, began to emerge. This idea of no self, no doing. No self, no doing. There are two concepts. No self is that when you sit at the deepest place of meditation, you start to lose that idea that there is this self out there doing things for a purpose, for an agenda, with a particular story in mind. And no doing is the idea that I am doing something that is mine, that I am in this island and I'm going over to your island and I'm manipulating it somehow. And as these ideas begin to dissolve, there becomes this effortless flow starts to emerge. Just sitting, wanting to relax, resting, taking a break, doing your thing, and someone asks for help. And letting go of you and wants and things, there is this listening. And before you know it, what was asked has been given and benefits are flowing. That is the taste of no self and no doing. Case in point. Last Tuesday, I glanced at my email, and our admin, Laura Alameda, had forwarded me a message from the Attleboro Interfaith Collaborative requesting emergency space to provide a warming place for the homeless community. Was it 2 weeks from now? Was it a month from now? Was it ample time that I could get the board together for a proper meeting? No, it was for the next day. And I was kind of frustrated by that. I was a little overwhelmed. But then I thought, no self, no doing. What am I actually doing here? So I picked up the phone and I called Linda. And Monica, we got this email going, and within a few hours, we had consensus. Let them in. Do you know what my experience has been like in other churches when this kind of thing has happened? There's a lot of, well, it sounds like a good idea, but what happens if they're vacuuming and they tear up the carpet by accident? What happens if they slip in the bathroom and then they sue us? What happens if the sky falls? No, we were able to come together quickly and keep people from freezing to death on the street. Next evening, there I was talking with Pam Torello, who's boots on the ground. She's a director within the AAIC, not the executive director, but the hands-on director. And she coordinates space, volunteers, and she's just a lovely light. And I'm showing her around the building, and she goes, I was raised here. Right? Small world. And then I get to meet the volunteers. These big, strong, manly men come in, the volunteers. I'm like, I bet I have nothing in common with these guys. Well, we had the most incredible conversation, and, turns out one of them, has this Bible study with all of these pastors from all around. I knew that this meeting existed for many years, but I just figured they just considered me a liberal freak and I would never be invited. Well, I got invited. Finally, this homeless guy comes in. He's got blonde hair, it's all spiky and frizzy. And he starts talking about the dignity of the human being and the power of loving kindness. And suddenly, there I am. A shining light comes down from heaven, and there is the living Christ. A homeless man. No self, no doing. Just stepping aside a little bit so a little grace can flow in. And the week went on from there. Took me to the hospital to visit Dick Bonin. I got to meet the new rabbi from Agudas Akim, and she was a wonderful young woman who had done all kinds of peace and justice witness in Palestine, and was a religious studies geek just like me, and poet too, and raised in the woods near Amherst, Massachusetts, in a back-to-the-earth Jewish reform movement. And right there and then at Briggs Nursery, we came up with at least 3 different ways that Murray and Agudas could collaborate. It's amazing what happens when you get out from underneath yourself, when you let the universe flow in. I mean, even talking to you like this from this thing we call the pulpit, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm just here because you deem it fit to have somebody like a minister serve you. And what a tremendous privilege it is. It's not about what I do or what I bring, it's what we bring together. By listening together, being a community together. We do so much together, and when you think about it, it's nothing. It's more than us. It's bigger than us. It's deeper than any of us. Murray is a crazy place. It's crazy good, crazy lovely, crazy holy. But not when it keeps to its own self, to its own walls, but when it embraces no self, no doing. And then, well, the world comes streaming in. And everything that comes through us becomes a little bit transformed in the process. Peace and wholeness, everybody. True resilience requires more open doors and less hardened walls. True resilience has as much to do with our value of interdependence. True resilience is that Zen concept of no self and no doing. May the generosity of the universe, together with this wider region, flow through us and in us. This sermon is not about just how we can be more resilient, although that's important, but also how we can help this entire region become more resilient. That's what I learned today. Just thought I'd pass it on. Peace and wholeness, everybody.